Hello there, Aquarius. Welcome. This is going to be your reading. So when I was shuffling out this spread, what I saw is I saw a bridge. And I love seeing bridges because it basically means being able to overcome something, finding a solution to get to the other side. Okay, so either way, I saw a bridge. And I see a man on one end and a woman on one end. They're both very young looking. I mean, they're kind of like silhouettes at this point because there's a night sky with the crescent moon right in the background, overlooking the bridge and shining light on the water. So it seems like a very beautiful scenery. And the man and the woman, they kind of walked up the bridge and they kind of meet each other halfway right under the moon. And so when I saw this imagery, what I feel is there might have been a bridge in communication and meeting each other halfway, compromising, as well as having this sense of intuitive knowledge about how the other person feels about us. And honestly, when I saw the man and the woman, it could be romantic for sure. But I'm also getting this sense of, coming to the realization of how people feel about us. Okay? So that's what I'm sensing here. Based on this spread, you have some daring and brazen communication that's going to be coming through. And I feel like it's not just communication coming through from another person. It's also self-realization. It's also like an exchange of information or an exchange of communication that reveals a lot. And let me just unpack this. If we're looking at this from an emotional standpoint, relationships and things like that, you definitely have communication coming through from the past, okay? It's a blast from the past. I have here the Six of Cups. And somebody is pouring out their heart to you. This is like the bare naked truth, okay? It's like putting ourselves in a situation where we are vulnerable and we reveal how we completely feel and think and whatever it is that we need to tell the other person. The truth is all out there. It's laid out there and it can feel very uncomfortable. I feel like someone is doing this to you or you're doing this with somebody. And if you're in a relationship, if you're dealing with a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, I feel like this is them doing that to you, really bearing their soul, making themselves so vulnerable so that you know how much they mean to you. For some of you, love interest, this could be like a lover, this could be a new person that you're dating, a romantic partner, somebody who you're already involved with or somebody new in the picture. But I feel like it's a blast from the past. So for many of you, it's an old flame. I'm also sensing as well, they're very torn. They're very, they really want you to know how they feel about you. Whatever that means. They really want you to know how they feel about you. So they don't care about the outcome. They don't care whether or not you're going to reciprocate. They just really, really want you to know that that they care about you. They want to build a future with you. They want to get married. They want to establish something very solid and something very stable with you. And they don't care how you react. They just want you to know. Water signs have a need to just, tell you how they feel. Okay? So that's what I'm feeling here. And then for others of you, you've definitely have put yourself on the line, meaning you're the one that did the communication to really reveal and how you feel about another person. And you made yourself very, very naked and exposed and vulnerable. And the other person definitely received the message. So if you're wondering, did he or she get my message? They definitely got the message. They're thinking it over. They're mulling it over. There's definitely emotions and things like that stirred up within them. There's definitely appreciation for the message. There's also, I see a little bit of guilt. So I don't know if there are third parties involved or their hands are tied in some way where they're not able to reciprocate. But I feel like, the communication is there. You did the right thing. It's good to get it out in the open. Okay. And then for the third interpretation of this, which I feel is, it's also quite important to talk about. This is like realization about how others around us feel about us, and realization as well that, what we need to do, what we need to really focus on. What are some of our strengths and some of our weaknesses? And especially, what are some of the weaknesses so that you can work to strengthen them, okay? To make them no longer weaknesses, but to strengthen them, to make yourself more well-rounded, to make yourself more perfect. Okay, and I feel like for many of you, this is definitely, working on being a lot more emotionally available, being a lot more emotionally available to people, but also accepting the fact that we're not all perfect, and I'm not all perfect, things like that. And these are the things that I really want to focus on and I really want to work on. I see many of you staying up very, very late into the night, communicating with another person, or doing a lot of activities at night. And I feel like you're doing this as a part of your job. You're doing this because you want to succeed. You're like trying to create a solid foundation. Four of Wands. This is traditionally a marriage card, but you could also be staying up very late, taking care of children, taking care of members of your family, trying to stabilize your family life in some way. But then I also feel with the career card, the Six of Wands, this is sort of like staying up really late to do research, to make sure that you're preparing well. So presentations, being under scrutiny. So some of you, not in a bad way though, I feel like you're doing something where you're kind of like on center stage. You might feel a little bit out of sorts. You might feel a little bit out of your element. You might feel like you're being judged, or you might feel very vulnerable and exposed in some way. Somebody, it could be critiquing you, and they could, tell you, here's what I feel you could improve on. And it's constructive criticism. So I don't feel like, it's anything that will really chip at your self-esteem. They're being very loving, very gentle, very delicate. And so I feel like, they don't have any intentions to hurt your self-esteem. They're doing this so that, they can allow you to grow as a person, and they can allow you to kind of improve. And it's not an easy process. It can feel very, very uncomfortable for the Aquarius person to be in the limelight and to be kind of looked at in under the microscope and, scrutinized, or dealing with constructive criticism too. It can feel very, very uncomfortable. So I see many of you are in a situation where you're kind of pushed outside of your element and you feel very naked and exposed, okay? Not literally, just figuratively. You feel like you feel a little bit kind of like outside of your element. So I do see staying up late at night, worrying about your career, and also trying to get ahead, trying to really build yourself up. And I feel like whatever situation, if for many of you, if there has been, recent surgeries, you're getting your sense of recovery back. So if you've been dealing with surgeries or illnesses, or even even like worries and anxiety, how am I doing, how am I performing, how am I, how is my relationship, how is my work, how are other people perceiving me? I feel like you don't have to worry about that. You're being very hard on yourself, but I definitely see this sense of healing, this sense of like ripping off the Band-Aid. It's like, okay, so this person thinks I'm like this, ripping off the Band-Aid. And they're telling me these are the areas that I need to work on. Okay, at least it's out there. Now I can begin to do the work to make myself, or for towards self-improvement. Okay. There's definitely some offer here of love. You've got, and I've been seeing this for you guys since the beginning of January. There's definitely an offer of love here. We have the Knight of Swords as well as this Queen of Cups. The Knight of Swords, you have an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. If there is a situation where you felt very, very stuck because things were not going anywhere, it's almost like this person is coming in to cut this man loose. Okay? The Hangman, if you've been feeling very, very stuck, if you've been feeling like, which direction do I go? How do I do this? Where is the communication headed? We have here this knight in shining armor that's going to come in and cut you from this rope, bring you down, and so that your feet can be firmly planted on the ground. So I feel like on a foundational level, there might have been some situation where there's like a self-esteem shakeup, questioning your capabilities, questioning your competencies, questioning your a sense of like being kind of in limbo. What do I do next? You know, not knowing the next step. And somebody's going to come in with some really concise communication to allow you to, you know, have that path, to create that path for you to move forward, and to also free you from, you know, the mental prison that you put yourself in, overthinking, overanalyzing. And let's not, you know, sugarcoat this. You guys tend to overthink and overanalyze, and then you drop off with like the worst case scenarios. You know, you end up thinking the last thoughts are like the worst case scenarios. And so don't do that to yourself. Okay. I feel like there's somebody coming in to clear up a situation. There's also a situation here where I feel like waiting really long and hard for communication from the other person. It's almost like, I want to know how they feel. I want to know what's going to happen. I don't want to be stuck in limbo anymore. I want some sense of clarity, and I want a sense of direction moving forward. So we have here as well the Wheel of Fortune and the Star. I don't read reversals with this deck, but these are two of the best cards. Mainly because that period of suspension, that period of waiting, that period of like not knowing the future. And you guys are really big when it comes to, you know, wanting to know everything, because there's an element of you wanting to control things, wanting to plan for things. And I feel like, you know, now you can do the planning because now you have a better sense of clarity and guidance as to what direction to move forward. And I feel like there's going to be an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, and a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, that will be very, very, very prominent within the next 2 weeks, okay? I just want to round it off with that last, you know, the first image that I saw, which is the two people coming together, and then they're meeting halfway. There's definitely a sense of compromise here. Okay, listening to other people, meeting somebody halfway. So if they want you to do something, even though it's not something that you want to do, and you guys are very clear about what you want to do, sometimes we need to, you know, learn to kind of compromise. And sometimes we need to kind of accept constructive criticism from others, as well as not looking at situations. I feel like it's just, you know, your sense of independence and your sense of individuality. You feel like it's really dampened, or you feel like you have to curtail that side of you when you work alongside with another person, or when you take their advice and you have to change the project or the way you proceed based on their advice. You feel like it's hindering your sense of individuality. But I feel in this deck and in this spread that whoever you're dealing with, they have the best intentions for you. They want you to thrive. They want you to prosper. They want you to succeed. And I feel like, you know, they believe in you, even though you might have some qualms. Nine of Swords, regarding your own sense of success, regarding your own capabilities. Am I going to be able to blast through those obstacles? I feel like you have been dealing with some self-doubt regarding your own lovability, regarding your own capabilities, okay? And so you're dealing with someone who's very, very gentle, and they're nudging you in the right direction. And it just seems to me like the next 2 weeks is heavily focused on healing, on compromise, on easing out or ironing out the wrinkles as it relates to communication. And then I also feel like, getting reciprocity, getting the emotional exchange between you and another person. And once again, the two people are standing right on top of that bridge and right in the middle and right underneath the moon. So I definitely feel whatever has been very muddled and confusing, and it's like you sensed it, but you're just like you couldn't trust your intuition, or you might have chosen not to trust your intuition. I feel like this is the week where the mind and the heart, or the mind and the intuition clearly lines up. Everything is in alignment. You can see a situation. Not only can you feel it, but you see the reality of it playing out just as your intuition has told you all along. Okay, so I feel like it's going to be a very beautiful 2 weeks. You've got a lot of things you've got a lot of clarity coming through, and you've got a lot of movement forward in a really fruitful way. Okay, so I wish you the best, Aquarius.